Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's time for some more Chris Watts talk. I wanted to clarify, first of all, in another video I did, I had mentioned Chris's gay affair. That apparently was completely fabricated, and I apologize. I did not know that at the time when I made the video. It is in my description. I did clarify it in my description afterwards, so I apologize for that. Secondly, in another video I did, or actually both of them, I've cried more than once, and I don't apologize for it, and people think that that's weird and I shouldn't have included it, but it's how I felt, it's how I feel. This is horrific, and they are not crocodile tears. Those are real tears, my friends. Thirdly, I wanted to talk about Chris's personality disorders. And you know, when I first made that video, I talked about the narcissistic side of him and how I don't see that as a trait of his. That just doesn't seem like he's the typical narcissist that we think of. Well, what we've learned since then is there's something called covert malignant narcissist. So he is not an overt narcissist. He's not the kind that you would overtly see that would be really obvious. He's the undercover type, the shy, humble, the unassuming narcissist that we don't really see because they aren't the overt type. They're not the type that we typically think of when we think of a narcissist, the one that's, it's all about me, although it was all about him. So Chris displayed this in many different ways throughout what he did to Shanann and the girls and how he reacted afterwards. Some of the examples are, you know, when he was doing the interview with police, he's got like a smirk. He smirked while he was being interviewed.
The kids are my life. I mean, those smiles light up my life. And there's like, I mean, last night, like during you know, when they usually eat dinner, it was just like, I miss them. Like, I mean, I miss telling them, hey, you got to eat that or you're not going to get your dessert, you know, and just like, you're not going to get your snack after. I miss that. Like, I miss them, you know, cuddle up on their couches. They have like a Minnie Mouse couch and a Sophia couch that they cuddle up on and watch, you know, Bubble Guppies or something. And it was just like, you know, it was tearing me apart last night, and I needed that. I needed that last night. And for nobody to be here last night and to go into their rooms and know that I wasn't going to turn the rain machines on. I know that I wasn't going to turn their monitor on.
He's so confident that he's got everybody snowed. He never hired a lawyer. He thought he could handle all of this on his own. He willingly did the lie detector, assuming that he was going to pass it, I'm sure. He kept up the lie for days, sitting there with police during the interrogation for hours and hours, continuing to lie, thinking that eventually they're gonna believe it. It's part of the narcissism. It comes across as stupid to us, but in his brain, he thinks that he's got everybody snowed. And he thinks he's incredibly cunning, and he's gonna just keep believing his lies. Deny, 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 right? Well, it didn't work. It's also been said that he has antisocial personality disorder. That's where he has like a lack of empathy, not really understanding the difference between right and wrong. And I definitely see those traits in him as well. The strange thing is that just none of this came up beforehand. Like, nobody ever saw this in him. And if you see his parents during his sentencing and his mother speaking about him, it's quite heartbreaking, honestly, to hear her talk about who he was growing up and that they still love him and they will not abandon him.
Now to my son, Christopher. I have known you since the day you were born into this world. I have watched you grow from a quiet and sweet, curious child who Bella reminded me so much of, to a young man who worked hard in sports and later mechanics to achieve your goals. You are a good friend, brother, father, and son. We have loved you from the beginning, and we still love you now. It might be hard for some to understand how I can sit here under these circumstances and tell you, although we are heartbroken, although we can't imagine what could have led us to this day, but we love you. Maybe you can't believe it either.
I know people think that she was an awful mother-in-law and that she was a terrible grandmother. I know the whole story about the nuts and that she shouldn't have given nuts to the girls. I agree, so many things don't look good, but this is awful, and this is her son, and no one could ever fathom that their child could do something like this. I really, really feel for these people also. This is not the person that they saw. This is not the person anybody saw. And it does make you wonder, you know, was he aware that he had these traits? You know, or did he not even know that he was capable of any of this until he actually did it? Or was he always aware that he'd be capable of something so horrific and feel nothing afterward? One of the most shocking things to me is the convenience store footage of him after he'd taken the girls to the wells and buried Shanann. The thought that he went and ate after, went to work after. He didn't go home to hide any evidence. He just went to work. Nobody noticed anything different about his personality or demeanor. Nothing had changed. He had just murdered his entire family, put them in the cab of his car, their dead bodies, and then disposed of them at the work site. On my videos, I've had, I don't know, probably 2,000 comments from people talking about theories and how they believe all of this happened. I have to say, first of all, that I truly hope that Chris does not die in prison. There's a lot of talk about the fact that there's things that can happen in prison and he can be left without somebody looking for a moment, or a door can be accidentally left open and he will be murdered by other inmates who would consider it a badge of honor to snuff out his life. I'm hoping that that never happens. I hope that someday he will confess and tell what he did so that it can give some peace to the family. And we all want to know. We all want to know what happened because we can't believe how horrific it was. I don't think by any means that Shanann was awake and they were having an argument, or that they had a fight and that he just took his hands and decided to end her life. I truly believe she was sleeping from what she was wearing and the makeup on the sheets. There was no struggle. There's no defense wounds on him at all. If she had been awake and had a chance to fight back, you would have seen something on him. There's nothing. Whether the girls were murdered before she got home, we'll never know. I would assume as a mother that she would have checked on them when she got home, no matter what time it was, especially since she hadn't seen them in 48 hours. I can't imagine just going straight to bed and not checking on them. So in my mind, she was murdered first and then the girls after. So yes, I definitely think that this was premeditated. He had communication with a coworker the day before, basically telling him that there was no need for both of them to be out at that site. Chris was very well aware that he was going to be going to that site the next day alone. It all appears incredibly calculated and planned. He systematically and methodically murdered each person in his family, brought them out to his truck, drove off, disposed of them the way he did, and then went to work. He didn't freak out. He acted calmly to everybody, and he was able to continue his romantic relationship with Nicole in the midst of all of this. As far as Nicole Kessinger, her interviews are not very satisfying. There's something up there. The girl deleted all of his text messages before she came in to speak to the police. That's just, who does that? Even if you claim to be wanting to end the relationship, that's odd to just delete everything immediately before you go and see the police. The police aren't stupid. If there's something on her, I'm sure they're working on it. And that would come out sometime in the future. But I don't think she had a hand in any of it, but I do believe that she knows more than she's letting on. Whether that makes her a criminal, I don't know. Definitely a homewrecker, no doubt about that. There was also something interesting that Nicole divulged during her testimony to the police. He'd always use gift cards from his company, Anadarko. She said they were like these light blue gift cards, and he always used them whenever he would pay for a meal for them, I suppose. But the night before Shanann got home, he had gone out with Nicole and used their regular credit card, and she noticed it right away. And he used it without any hesitation. He didn't seem to care, she said in the interview. He knew full well that Shanann was going to see that charge of $63 at the steakhouse and question it. There's no doubt about that. So just knowing that that would be coming is another sign to me that he just didn't care anymore. He already had a plan. He already knew that he wasn't going to have to deal with the whiny wife complaining about the charge. He was going to get rid of her and the family. And then, of course, there's that picture of the doll that he sent from his phone to her on August 9th with the doll covered up. It was the Twister game, actually, like laying on top of the doll with the feet sticking out, that Shanann had posted on her Facebook and said, I don't know what to make of this. It's not clear who took that picture, whether it was Chris or in the documents it said it could have even been Bella who took it. 4-year-olds do know how to use phones, so they don't really know who took the picture. But he did send it to Shanann without any explanation. So I don't know what to make of that. If that is truly a sign to him that he was trying to tell her something of what he had in mind, I wouldn't put it past him. It seems very possible that he already had a plan in place. I think his trip out to North Carolina, that last week that she was out there with the kids, I think in his mind, his relationship had ramped up so intensely with Nicole, and then he had to go back and face his wife and kids for that 1 week. And I think he started thinking after that time with Shanann, I need to do something. I need to change this because it's not going in the direction I want it to. And there was a new baby coming too. So I definitely think that he had been planning it out for days in advance, possibly right after he left North Carolina after that trip. I think he was getting a plan in place for sure. Some people say that he panicked when he realized that Shanann didn't fit in the tanks, but he knew those tanks really well. He knew she wasn't going to fit. He brought a shovel. He knew she wasn't going to fit. He had that planned. What he was planning on doing with the gasoline, God only knows. My thoughts are that he was planning on lighting Shanann's body on fire, hoping that it would get rid of any type of evidence of her body existing. That's what I think. I don't think he raged in the moment. I think it was all very calculated. I don't think those Thrive patches had anything to do with this. As far as I'm concerned, those are probably very placebo. They did blood and alcohol testing on him after, and they didn't come up with anything. So those Thrive patches are just vitamins, apparently, or, you know, possibly caffeine. Who knows? Because Nicole says that he was up all night all the time, or that he had a lot of energy. That's caffeine. That's not steroids. I don't think that those Thrive patches had anything to do with what he did. I think it was simply a mix of a man who felt stuck in a situation that was getting beyond overwhelming. He was falling in love with a new woman, and honestly, I don't think he's that smart. I think that he definitely thought out the murders, and I think he thought he could get away with it, and I think he thought he could move on with his life. And all of this just became too much, and he thought he could do things on his own and make a new life for himself. Do I think he's ever killed before? No. Do I think he ever would have killed again? No, I don't. I think this was all a culmination of things that came together at once, and it was a man who is not very bright, who thought that he could handle it in a way where nobody would know, and he could get away with it and start this new life. Look at John List. He did the same thing, and actually he went on with his life for like 30 years before anybody found out. Zero remorse. The difference between John List and Chris Watts is that John List used a gun, Chris Watts used his hands. That's where the mental disorder has to come in. I hope that he's forthcoming in prison. I hope that they take the opportunity to study this person and find out how somebody could do something so horrific and feel no empathy afterwards. I will continue with this story as soon as we hear some more information, possibly about what's going on with him in prison. I'll definitely report that back to you guys. As far as Nicole Kessinger, if we can hear anything more on what's going on with her. But I still have a feeling that we're going to hear more about her if more information comes to light about information that she hid. I have a feeling we might hear more about that. So until next time, guys, write in the comments. I'm curious to know what you guys think. And by the way, my channel is actually about me having HIV. So if you're curious about any of that, go to my channel and check out my videos. I was diagnosed in 2016. This is not typically what I do, but the Chris Watts case just made me want to branch out. It's been really interesting to see what people think and the comments that have been written, and we're learning a lot about mental disorder, that is for sure. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Until next time, guys, have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye.